Hold on one second. All right, awesome. We're excited to have you here. We're going to share about the power of peptides tonight. My name is Beth Vasquez. You'll hear more about my story in a little bit. And I'm also here with Tia Collis and Blair Critch. So I will be introducing both of them. We're going to talk to you about the power of peptides. You're here because you're probably either already have tried peptides, you're curious about peptides, or you're hearing about peptides everywhere and you're finally like, okay, tell me more. How can this maybe help benefit me and the things that are going on in your life right now? So we're going to dive right in. And we will try to leave a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. So again, my name's Beth Vasquez. I am an endometriosis warrior, and my husband actually has a heart condition called HOCM, which is how we really came to find peptides in the first place. But I'll tell you more about my story in a little bit. First, I want to introduce you to Blair Critch. Blair is an incredible person and inspiration. You guys, Blair not only has an incredible peptide business now because of how much she believes in peptides and how much they've helped her in her journey, but Blair is also an ovarian cancer survivor. She is a just rock star person. She has done so much research on just health and wellness and healing your body and living your best life. And she is a thriver. She does not give up, but she really just takes everything she can, like learns everything she can, goes every extra mile to again really live her best life. And I'm so inspired by her, and I trust what she has to say because I know the amount of research that goes into things that she does. And I know how important her health is to her. So I'm going to turn it over to Blair to talk to you a little bit more about what peptides are and share a little bit about her journey with peptides as well. So, Blair, I'm going to turn it over to you.
You. Such a nice introduction. Thank you so much. Well, I'm so excited to be on here sharing. It is true that I love to learn and I love to share what I learn. I think that comes back from being a teacher years ago. So, welcome everybody. So glad you're on here. Before I even start with my experience, I'd love to share with you a little bit about what peptides are. So, peptides are just short chain amino acids that act like little messengers in our body. What you might not know is that peptides are literally just strings of amino acids that are put together. But if it's 50 or less, it's called a peptide. And if it's more than 50 put together, it's actually called a protein. So these are like little messengers to your cells, and they tell your cells exactly what to do and how to function better. And a really like the best way that I've ever heard it explained is like this. Peptides are like text messages sent to your cells. They're clear, specific instructions that help the body to know what it already knows to do and just to take action and do it. So my story actually began a long time ago during COVID, and I found out I had ovarian cancer. And I had a rare form of it called low-grade serous carcinoma. And during that time, obviously, I was stuck at home. I had to go through 6 rounds of chemo. I had a couple of surgeries. And so I decided that I was going to really dive in and learn as much as I could about health and also how to prevent my cancer from coming back. Well, after the first round of chemo, I was up all night, super sick. And the next morning, I woke up and I was like, I'm not going to feel like this the rest of the time. I'm going to figure out a different way. And so I started working with a functional doctor, and she put me on lots of different modalities. We tried infrared, we did sauna, we did acupuncture, herbs, supplements. I went plant-based. And the next round of chemo, I actually felt great. I didn't throw up at all. My skin was actually glowing. I would say the worst thing was that I was bald and I was a little bit tired, and that was it. So that really started me down researching even more about functional medicine, holistic health, integrative health, biohacking. And as I was taking online courses and reading books and listening to podcasts, peptides kept popping up a bunch. And I was learning a ton about it and asking my functional doctor about it. So as soon as I was done with chemotherapy and immediately thrown into medical menopause, which if anybody in here is in menopause, you know what that's like. But I didn't even have like a day. It was literally, I woke up from my second surgery and boom, I had hot flashes. And I thought it was just from my surgery. But I realized a week later that this was all menopause. And I had every possible sign you could think of. Things that I didn't even realize were because of menopause because I really didn't have any friends that were going through it yet. And so I started talking to my functional doctor more about peptides, and she wanted to get me started. But my oncologist said no. He wanted me to wait a year because he just didn't know enough about it. So during the next 6 months, I tried a lot of different herbs and supplements to help me with my menopause issues. I had residual chemo issues as well, and nothing was helping. And I was gaining weight rapidly. I was eating plant-based, exercising, taking care of my nervous system, taking care of my lymphatic system, and yet I was gaining weight really quick. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I was so inflamed. I literally, the best way I can describe it is I felt like a can of biscuits. Like I was going to just pop at any moment. And I also had this weird foot pain and hip pain, and I had all these crazy symptoms. So, when I went in for my 6 month exam with my oncologist and got my blood work done, I had high cholesterol, which is a side effect of the estrogen blocker that they have to put you on 5 years post any kind of estrogen cancer, like mine was. And so my doctor looked at me and he said, "Okay, I'm going to put you on a statin." And I said, "Oh, hold on. Statins have side effects too, just like the side effect of this is high cholesterol." And he goes, "I know you're just going to be on this train the rest of your life." And I said, "No, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. I've studied and learned enough. I'm going to work with my functional doctor and try peptides first." And he said, "Okay, I think that's good. Let's see what happens." Well, the first two products that I started with were NAD and glutathione. And to be honest, the first product my functional doctor wanted to put me on was GLP-1, but I was really scared because there was lots of bad press about it at the time. Wasn't really sure, hadn't researched and learned enough for myself yet. So we started first with NAD and glutathione. NAD is anti-aging, cellular regeneration. Tony Robbins calls it the father of anti-aging. It really helps with mood, energy, mental clarity, and reducing inflammation. And then glutathione is a master antioxidant, helps your body to detox. It helps your body to keep free radicals away, which actually can keep cancer away. It's been proven in scientific journals, and also helps with hair, skin, and nails and detoxing your body. So when I started on those two, by the third injection of both of those, 90% of my menopause symptoms were gone. Itchy skin, itchy ears, irritability, anxiety, which I've never had in my life, gone. Hot flashes went from 10 to 20 a day down to one. Night sweats, gone. Sleeping through the night again. It was incredible. The hip pain, foot pain, gone. So, what was most exciting though was really the fact that I felt different. And so I called up my functional doctor and I said, "Okay, I have got to start on whatever else it is that you want me to start on because I believe you now." And so the next week, she started me on GLP-1. And within 6 months, I dropped 33 pounds of inflammation. But the best part was my blood work. I get my blood work done every 6 months. And when I went in, it showed that my cholesterol was lowered, my A1C was better, my thyroid health was better, my liver enzymes, which were a mess after chemo, better, kidney health better. But the best one is a test called CA-125. It's a blood work inflammation marker for ovarian cancer. When I found out I had cancer, it was 168. After chemo, it's 20 to 25. For a woman my age, you want it to be 35 or lower. And since I have been on GLP-1, it's been 7 or 8 every 6 months. And I've been on these products for over 3 years. It's just incredible. And that just shows how much inflammation is being taken out of my body. So when I was introduced to a way to be able to help other people with peptides, I jumped at the chance because that first year that I was on these products, people could tell the difference in me between my skin glowing, my hair growing back gorgeous, getting rid of the inflammation, the puffiness. People were asking me what I was doing, and I would share and I would give them my functional doctor's phone number and information. But I had like 48 people that I had referred her to in a year, and only 3 ever showed up in her office because of time, money. It costs extra money when you have to do that because you have to pay for the visit every single time you go. Plus, she was marking up her peptides 3 times the amount that we charge. So it was really expensive for people, and I understood. So when I realized that there was a company out there that was high efficacy, good quality, purify their peptides, which is very important to me as a cancer survivor, because if you do not purify your peptides, if they're research grade, then they actually have heavy metals in them. And if you inject yourself with heavy metals, you can get cancer. So I'd never shared online before because I didn't want people to go find it on the gray and black market. But when I was introduced to LEMD, I found a high quality, reputable company that I could share with others and help make an impact. So this last year and a half, I've been able to help thousands feel better. And that for my heart is so exciting. But also, I love the fact that I see my friends, my family, we're all aging backwards. And that's really exciting because at my age, a lot of us are thinking about the next stage of life, our grandkids, our families growing, things changing, right? Our bodies are changing. So it's just such a pleasure to be able to help people. So thanks for letting me share, Beth.
That was so amazing, Blair. Thank you for sharing your story. I always get inspired every time I hear you. I'm like, okay, what else can I learn from Blair and implement into my life? And yay for aging backwards. Can we just like, if you want to age backwards, can we just like show some love in the chat or give some hearts or something like that? I say it is 2026. right? We are 2026. You don't have to age if you don't want to. Like in my mind, I'm 25 and I just want to stay that way mentally, physically as long as I can. So thank you, Blair. Yes, that's awesome. And one thing I love too about everything you said, Blair, and what really came through is just like your proactive approach, right? Really taking matters into your own hands. I think so many times we can, maybe you have experienced this on the call, anyone else on the call, but many times we can go to the doctor and we'll not be feeling great, we're sluggish, we just know we're not our best selves. And the doctor's like, nope, everything's great. Your labs are perfect. You're a pillar of health, And you're like, no, I'm not. Something's missing. And so if that's ever been you, I've definitely been there before too, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I love your proactive approach, Blair, and just really taking charge of your health. Again, it's 2026. We have access to education, we have access to so many things, and LEMD makes access to peptides, really available for us too. So we can take proactive approach to our health and longevity. So thank you for sharing. If you guys have any questions for Blair, you could drop them in the chat, or like I said, we'll try to leave a little bit of time at the end. I want to introduce you also next to Tia Collis. Tia is another incredible friend of mine. She has Hashimoto's and endometriosis and has also had a hysterectomy. But she lives a vibrant life in 30A, Florida. She is living her dream and her best life ever at this stage of her life and has overcome so much. And another woman that has really taken a proactive approach to her health. And just refuses to settle for anything less than feeling her best and living her best life. So I want to introduce you to Tia and let her share her story. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey guys, a lot of you guys are sending love to 30A. Yes, it's beautiful. If you haven't been here yet, put it on your bucket list. Okay, so first I'm going to start off with a picture. Can you guys see this? Can you see my legs covered with hives? This is me about 15 years ago. Every day, all day, for years, my whole body was covered with hives. I went to Johns Hopkins, I went to doctor after doctor, finally got diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, but nobody had anything to help me. So they put me on steroids and steroids and steroids, and I got puffier and puffier. And it was just years of a train wreck. And I was either super puffy from steroids and had energy from the steroids and roid rage along with that, or I was in bed like dying, not dying, but feeling terrible. And nobody could help me. So it was a terrible, terrible time in my life. And I just got the runaround from all the doctors. And then I was going through infertility, had endometriosis, and had a hysterectomy at 31 after I had my IVF baby. So that kind of sent me into early menopause. And it's just been a train wreck. So I finally discovered peptides, I guess about 2 years ago. I was the biggest I had ever been. We adopted a baby when I was 40, and being a newborn mom at 40, I just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more exhausted. And I saw some pictures of me from a girls' cruise, and I said, I cannot look like this anymore. I cannot live like this anymore, not having any energy, especially with a newborn. And so I decided to try peptides, even though my doctor told me not to because she's very conservative, my primary care doctor. I did my own research and I said, well, I'm going to do it anyways. And she was about to put me on medication because I had high cholesterol. I was pre-diabetic. My mom is diabetic. And so I knew that was coming for me. And I was just, like Blair says, I felt like a can of biscuits too and had zero energy. So I started on a GLP-1. I did the regular GLP-1, which is a little bit more cost effective than the GLP/GIP, but I was on a budget, so I needed the budget-friendly version. And I lost 40 pounds in 15 months, and that was without working out at all. I actually just started working out a couple of weeks ago. And the reason I started working out is because now I've lost weight, but I want to be my best self and be able to be a little bit toned now. And I actually started NAD as well, and that has given me the energy that I was missing, along with now I'm microdosing a GLP/GIP, and that has given me more energy. And I feel better than I have in 15 years. I have no hives, nothing like that. My inflammation is so down. I feel amazing. I look amazing. So I'm more confident. I'm showing up better for myself in every way, for my family, for my kids. And I highly recommend microdosing or doing a regular weight loss dose, which I started with because I needed to. But it's changed my life, not just with the weight loss, but my blood work is now amazing. I went back in, I get my blood work taken every 6 months, and I went back in this fall, and my doctor was shocked. She was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so glad you started on the GLP-1. And after I had my blood work done and I looked, she does a comparison, and I looked compared to 6 months before, 6 months before, 6 months before. I said, oh my gosh, I've got to start sharing this with other people because it's changed my life and my health. And if I can help people's health, like I cannot sit back and not tell you guys about it. So that's why I'm here. I'm excited to share, and they're amazing.
Thank you so much, Tia. Yes, that's such an inspiring story. And I just love, again, that you take charge of your own health and your own life. And, even sometimes well-meaning doctors, may not fully understand what we're going through, right? And what tools can really help us, alternative tools that can help. So I'm glad you found a place that listened, and that you were able to get your peptides and that you're feeling your best self now. That's amazing. And yay for your adoption too. You have such an incredible family story. So thanks for sharing. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story now, too. So, again, my name's Beth Vasquez. I have endometriosis, and I've struggled with it forever since my as long as I can remember, honestly. But I was officially diagnosed in my 20s. I had a cyst removed, and at that point, I was given the official diagnosis. And then a lot of things started making more sense. The very painful periods, the painful not periods, like all throughout my cycle, the painful ovulation, the bowel symptoms that came with all of the inflammation, the fact that I would always just be like very bloated, right in that area, all of the things that you don't want as a woman, right? And then the mood swings that came with it and the anxiety that can come with it because you don't feel good and you wonder why and what's happening. So if you have endometriosis or if you know anyone that has endometriosis, maybe you can relate, and just drop it in the chat if you do, because I'm always curious. But I started actually working with a holistic practitioner as well. Many doctors, they just prescribe the birth control pill, right? They just prescribe the pill and they say, this is the only treatment. There's really nothing else you can do. Here's what we have. And so for a long time I was on the pill, but after I wanted to have kids, and thankfully we were able to have kids. And after that, the endometriosis kind of symptoms all started coming back. And so I started working with a functional doctor, and he actually recommended glutathione. And so at first I started doing glutathione through IV infusions, and I would do them every month, and it changed the game for me. Finally, I felt relief from the inflammation, from the pain when the inflammation went down. It also helped with the pain, and with the mood swings, like with the anxiety and the moodiness. which was incredible. But also, we talk about blood work. It really helped with the blood work. So I know that it impacted the inflammation because my holistic doctor does my blood work also every 6 months. And we check an inflammation marker called CRP. And when I started, my inflammation marker was over 3. And after I had been using the glutathione, it went down to zero point 0.6, which was amazing. And not only my inflammation marker, but my liver enzymes went down. My fasting glucose went down. So it really had a systematic effect. And then, yes, bonus benefits are your hair, skin, and nails are stronger. So I love that. I am a huge proponent. I think everyone could benefit from glutathione. I also love it and feel so good taking it because of the cancer prevention research. There's so much research that supports the fact that glutathione is a major antioxidant and that it helps to prevent cancer. So I am all about that, especially because with endometriosis, you can have a higher risk. So I stopped doing the IV infusions and started doing injections because it's much more convenient. I don't have to take time to go to the office and sit there while I'm getting the infusion. I can literally just do it at home, and I'm really experiencing the same benefits. So it's been an incredible help for me. So fast forward, my husband is diagnosed with a heart condition called HOCM. It's essentially a thickening of the heart wall, and he was having really bad symptoms this year, and has had to try new medications and things for this too. Well, his cardiologist recommended that he start a GLP-1. And I freaked out. So much like Blair said, she wasn't ready for it at first. He told me, and I was like, "That is not a good idea." All of the horror stories were going through my head. I was like, "I really don't think that's a good idea. Let me research it first." So I started doing some research, and I actually reached out to Blair, and I asked her, "Hey, do you have any information, on heart research for peptides?" And I started researching, and I listened to an incredible podcast, found a ton of research that actually supports the fact that GLP-1s are really great for heart health. There is a lot of scientific research around the fact that it helps reduce inflammation, specifically around the heart. It can help lower blood pressure, and it just has a lot of really great cardiac benefits. And so I had to go back to my husband and say, "Okay, I was wrong." I actually think this is a great idea based on all this research. I shared it with him too. And so he's been taking GLP-1s now for 2 months. And he's lost weight, which is great. But even more than that, was having a lot of pain in his feet, and all of that pain has gone away. So it was so random. One day he was walking around and he was like, "Hey, my feet don't hurt." Like, this is so nice. I can walk around without pain. So that was amazing. And like those kind of those like bonus side effects. So he got his blood work done right before he started taking it. So I'll report back, once he gets his blood work done again. But his cholesterol was also high. So we're hoping that it will also help with that, because he too wants to stay away from some of the other types of medication that would be required if it doesn't. So yeah, we're big peptide believers over here. My stepson also played football in Bowling Green in Ohio, and he actually had 2 ACL tears. So he had ACL surgery twice, and he actually just started BPC 157 because he still has knee pain. Like, it still bothers him even after, all of the physical therapy and rehab and, being cleared after the surgeries. So we're really excited for that to be able to help him with his knee pain as well. So again, stay tuned, but we're big believers in peptides over here. We have seen the positive effects. And yeah, I'm just so thankful that we have access to a doctor-led service, where we're able to get quality peptides. I too am very specific and kind of crunchy. So I want to make sure that what I'm putting in my body is clean and purified, and definitely not, little sketch. So I'm really happy with LEMD, and in fact, so happy that we decided to partner with them as well, to help share peptides with other people because it is such a game changer. So that's my story. Again, thanks to Tia and Blair for being with us. Does anyone have questions about peptides, about any of the stories that you heard tonight? I'm just checking the chat to see if I missed anything. Ah, thanks, Blair. Compliment about my hair. Thanks. Yes, endometriosis. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. If you're interested in ordering or you have any more questions, you can definitely get back with the person that invited you to this call. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. But we're really thankful that you were able to join us. We hope this was helpful and impactful for your life. And just here's to living our best, longest lives. Thanks again. See you soon.